diagnosed with a disease that was slowly killing him. His only escape from this cruel reality was a game he played day and night until the moment he passed away. But he awoke inside that very game with nothing, no status, no power, now trapped in the world he once escaped to. He must fight, survive, and rise to conquer the realm that became his new reality. This story revolves around Takudo, who loves to play an empire management strategy-based game called Eternal Nations. Even though he is bedridden in a hospital, he spends his days playing Eternal Nations and literally dies while doing so. However, it isn't the end for him. As seconds later, he finds himself in a forest sitting on a throne in an ancient ruin. And the first thing he notices is how fresh the air is. A woman approaches him, asking if he's finally awake. And as she reveals her face, he instantly recognizes her as ATU, an elven race game character from Eternal Nations. ATU refers to Takuto as His Majesty. And all of this leaves Takudo wondering what in the F is going on. Since Tudo is a veteran anime watcher, he realizes that he somehow must have gotten transported into the world of Eternal Nation. But what should he do now? Normally the only being ATU calls her king is the Lord of Minogra, the nation that Takudo was ruling back when he was playing the game. ATU speaks again, this time referring to Takudo as Takuto-sama. She states that Takudo is the very first player to have cleared nightmare difficulty using Minogra, the toughest civilization. According to her, Takuto is on the leaderboards, which gives him the status of a legendary player. Takudo is even more confused now. How can this game character have information beyond the fourth wall? ATU reveals that she remembers everything. All the wins and the losses Takudo went through. Every single word that Takudo said to her through his computer screen and basically the entire journey they shared together until now. Takudo is filled with tears learning that. He expresses how glad he is to be able to talk to ATU, his favorite character in this game. And in response, ATU states that she feels the exact same way. It still doesn't explain how he came here. So, Takudo asks ATU if she was the one who brought him here. ATU claims to have no idea regarding that, as she too found herself at this location a few minutes ago. She's sure about one thing, though, and that is they are in a world that gives the vibes of Eternal Nations. Regardless of where they are, ATU is happy to have met her true king finally. And holding his hands, she encourages him to start over their journey from square one with her. She expresses her desire to build another empire with Takuto where only the two of them will live. And Takuto, who has no other purpose in life, agrees to share her goal. As Takudo extends his hand for a handshake, ATU acts like her true NPC form, introducing herself as Sludatu, an illegitimate child of the ruined world, and she vows that from this moment onwards, her mind, soul, and body belong to Tuto. ATU is meant to be an evil character, but this is really cliché and leaves both Takuto and ATU embarrassed. But Takudo joins in on the roleplay, declaring that together with his right hand, ATU, he will establish an empire that will be known as the most evil empire, Minogra. Takuto asks ATU if she remembers what the empire of Minogra must do first, and she quite proudly replies that they must shut themselves away like pure shootins to avoid being detected by any outsiders. In order to do so, Takuto summons an emergency production scout, a long-legged bug. Since Minogra is a civilization that governs over evil and ruin, all of the creatures look disgusting, which includes this scout. In any case, Takudo commands the scout to check the surroundings, and ATU specifically mentions that it mustn't disappoint the king. The scout follows orders immediately and leaves for his mission. Takudo reveals that he is able to see what the scout is seeing. And this makes both Takudo and ATU realize that in this world, things are just like how it was in the game. Takudo takes a moment to explain how he summoned the scout. His overall magic power currently is at 200. And to summon the scout, 100 MP was used. He wonders what he should do with the remaining magic power. He can set up a base using 20 megapixels, but at the same time wonders if he should summon a warrior for defensive measures. Unfortunately, that costs way more than Takudo's current overall magic power. In the game, ATU is a hero unit, which makes her strong in combat, But her power level is only at 3 because they've just started playing the game. Anyway, they move on, and thanks to the scout's reconnaissance, Takudo gets a good idea of his surroundings, which is mostly endless trees. This makes the place perfect for Mogra's base. But Ayu finds it strange that there is no wildlife nor food anywhere nearby. Since it's too risky for them to move, Takudo decides to make the scout check the area in an even bigger radius. Ayu becomes sad that she isn't being of any use to her king, but Takudo tells her that just having her by his side is enough. She is so moved by Takudo's compliment that she instantly falls for him. The scout, in the meantime, locates a camp where many dark elves have taken shelter. Takuto wonders what he should do. If he accidentally enters someone else's territory, this would bring trouble. So, their best move would be to stay hidden for now. Ayu says that if something bad happens, the two of them can always make a run for it. So, Takuto becomes motivat. But out of nowhere, 3 dark elves run into them, leaving both of them in a pinch. Takuto is shocked to find out that the dark elves he plans to avoid, the ones he thought he'd run away from if they ever crossed paths, are standing right in front of him. He and Ayu wonder how the encounter will go. But in moments like this, the best thing to do is stay composed. And that's exactly what they do. Meanwhile, the dark elves aren't even planning to kill anyone. They've just been chased from the city they lived in. And while trying to survive, they've led all their people deep into the forest for safety. After a long journey, they managed to find a place to rest in the cursed land. But they have no food, which means all their children will die. The captain of the Dark Elves, Captain Guy, wanders the hours forest with his soldiers. They're worried that this journey will end up being pointless because the land is cursed and there's no way to find food there. Some of them complain that they should have just given up the ghost and died in the city because they'll end up dead here anyway. They grumble about the rumors they've heard that the forest was cursed by a man and no life or love can survive in it. Guy cautions his people. If they lose hope now, there's no chance for the children waiting for them. He reminds them that the kids believe in them and they can't retreat or return empty-handed. Still, as he keeps walking, he considers their words. Deep down, he knows they're right. The chances of survival here are close to 0. But even if the others are scared and want to give up, he's their captain. He has to lead them to victory. As he walks further, he senses Takuto and Atiyu's energies and immediately panics. He worries they'll attack them on sight and he'll lose his team. Whatever he does next will decide the future of his race, so he has to be diplomatic. When he arrives, he sees Takudo, who looks like a black spirit, and Atiyu, who looks normal. Guy drops to his knees immediately, and his people follow. He admits they've trespassed and shouldn't have come there. Atiyu demands to know why he came when he knew this place was off limits. Guy explains everything. How their city banished them. How they had to flee without preparation. The long journey. The starving children waiting in the forest. He's anxious, especially because Atiyu keeps giving him a cold look. He thinks they're going to kill him, but then Takudo asks if he's hungry. Guy doesn't answer at first, but Atiyu urges him to respond to her master. So, he says yes. Instantly, Takudo releases several apples for him. It's Guy's first time seeing an apple. He doesn't even know it's food. Takudo tells him it's juicy inside, and he'll enjoy it. Guy hesitates, wondering if it's safe, but when he turns, he sees his soldiers already eating. Atiyu tells him to eat, too, but he's still unsure. Takuto releases pears for him as well. Now, Guy starts doubting Takudo's intentions. The Dark Elves have never been a loved race. They always face hostility, so seeing someone help them freely feels wrong. He tells Takudo he'd rather take the food back to his children in the forest. Before he can even finish, Takudo releases even more fruits for him. He's shocked and grateful. Meanwhile, the children in the forest are on the brink of death, silently hoping help will come. They catch a familiar scent, and they're right. Guy and his team are back. Not just back, but back with all the food and hope they need. Guy tells them to prepare for a feast and everyone digs in. The starving kids eat and recover. One of the elves asks Guy where he got the food, but Guy doesn't bother with details. He just says fate smiled on them. But in his mind, he keeps replaying the fearful figure he met earlier. Meanwhile, ATU is furious at Takudo for wasting mana on feeding strangers. She makes him kneel and he tries to explain he just felt pity for them. She's shocked, reminding him they don't even know how peaceful or brutal Minagra will be or how much they'll need to fight. It was a waste of mana. Then she checks herself. She shouldn't talk to her king that way, but he reminds her he can't live there without her. They're a team. He realizes that when the Dark Elves were around, he couldn't relate to them. Maybe he's shy. ATU didn't even notice. She thought he was just role-playing like a true king, speaking only through his maid. They bicker playfully until his pet returns with a report from its survey. What exactly is his mission in this gameland? Will they survive?